Hey everybody, it's Model Car Nick here today, and I have a pretty special car for you, and one that I was very excited to get my hands on. So this is the GT Spirit Alpina B7, obviously in 1/18th scale, and this is a fully sealed model like all GT Spirit models, and it's just a really lovely car. I mean, this thing is absolutely massive, and it's kind of hard to tell the scale, but maybe I can pull a model next to it real quick just so you can get a quick size comparison. So this is a Mini Champs Bugatti Veyron, and obviously, I mean, this is on a base plate, but it is dwarfed by the Alpina. So I'll go ahead and put this one away, and then we'll get on with the review. So obviously it's finished in this really stunning, I kind of think this is a signature Alpina color, but it's this really nice kind of metallic blue. Got a good amount of flake in there, as you can see, and it's got these kind of gray pinstripes down the side of it, finished on these lovely silver wheels. And then we have a kind of a cream interior. So I'll start off with the front of the model, and as you can see, we have the big BMW grills, and I mean, these things are absolutely massive. I think it actually fits the model pretty well. I remember when this came out, this was a big talking point, but I think, now that people have seen the new M4 and M3 grills, that this isn't so bad. At least they don't come all the way down to the bottom. But moving on, the headlights themselves, they did a really good job. I mean, they look fair. They're not amazing, but as you can see, like, there's kind of like a little bend over here where the daytime running lights are, but they did add the high beam, kind of like the blue laser lights in the inside. So I think that kind of little attention to detail is, pretty special, and I didn't really see that too often in many BMW models. Props to them for doing that. They just could have done a better job with the daytime running lights in the front, as you can see. But the grills themselves, I think they do look pretty decent. I mean, you can see through them, but there is just a big block of plastic behind it. So that is kind of a letdown, but it's finished in this it's kind of like a matte and chrome finish. I mean, maybe it's just more of a chrome finish and I'm blind. It looks like it. Sorry about that. But it does look really good. I mean, it's super intimidating. From this angle, they look absolutely humongous. But that's okay, honestly, for me. Obviously, we have a BMW Alpina plate right there in the front. And then with the front splitter, what makes these Alpina models a little bit special is they say Alpina right down there. So they added that little feature in there, which is pretty cool. Everything down here is kind of covered up. This is kind of unique to the Alpina variant. I think this big, kind of body match panel right there. But it does look pretty good. The kind of livery does follow through the front of the car, and it does look pretty nice. But back there, you can't really see anything. I think that's the camera for the front of the car, but not really any too, crazy details to really note. The BMW logo itself does look really nice. It's an actual badge, as you can see, so it looks really good and nice and clear. The body lines of this car in general, they do present pretty nicely. As you can see, the hood kind of has this little bulge that comes up. So I think that's a pretty good detail. But moving down to the side, so I think if you like an Alpina car, the silver Alpina multi-spoke wheels are one of the best wheel designs in my personal opinion, and I absolutely love these, especially with the blue paint. So they have a really good finish on them, in my opinion. There are drilled rotors sitting behind there, and then we have a blue Alpina brake caliper to match. There's also an Alpina badge right there. That looks pretty cool. I always think it's interesting that they kind of had the Alpina badges on the wheels, but they don't put it on the front emblem itself, but that's okay. Moving down towards the side of the car, not really many features to note. As you can see, there is this little Alpina livery, and it does look pretty good. As you can see, it's kind of like 4 lines that follow through. Alpina decal right there, and it kind of closes up towards the rear. So I think that looks pretty good. They have like a chrome side strip that runs throughout the model, and it looks pretty decent. Surrounding the windows, we have kind of gloss black, and then there's a B7 logo on the door pillar. And on the roof itself, we have a big kind of sky view panel, but it is tinted, unfortunately. I would have loved to see more of this interior, but you know, they kind of messed up, I think, with that aspect of the car. So moving on towards the rear of it, as you can see, pretty big rear end of the car. Quad-tipped exhaust tailpipes finished in chrome, so they look pretty decent. The taillights themselves, as you can see, I think they did a pretty good job. This taillight design is kind of boring, so there's not really too many features to note about them. But they do kind of follow through the, you know, the whole entire trunk section, and there is a little chrome strip above that. And then Aplina logos and the V7 logos and the BMW emblem sit right there. But as you can see, kind of the side profile, they do have a little rear wing that sits over the trunk a little bit, so I think that looks pretty good. Looking at the rear glass itself, they did add in the kind of defogger line, so that's kind of a nice little feature to have in. The signature BMW kind of shark fin sitting on the roof looks pretty good. But honestly, kind of a pretty discreet, I mean, I wouldn't really say discreet, but just kind of a, you know, not really too much going on with the exterior. It's just a really beautiful car. A lot of kind of smooth and boxy lines going on. One line to note, though, is this kind of main body line. I think the crease in there does look pretty decent, and I think they emulated it pretty well in this model. Okay, so now let's take a peek at the interior of this model, and I'll tell you what I think about it. So obviously, this would be a very lovely place to sit in real life. They added in kind of the quilted seat pattern on the seats themselves, and they do come across very well. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but they do look very nice. Obviously, up front on the steering wheel, we have the Aplina badge, and then just a lot of chrome surrounding everything. The screens themselves look like they're blank, but they did add some stuff on the gauge cluster up there. I know it's really hard to see. Honestly, everything else in there, it looks pretty decent. My one kind of thing to note in there is that these kind of those gloss black panel trims that sit in the inside, and I know you can't really tell on camera, but they kind of just stuck them on there with stickers, and it doesn't really look amazing, you know, as you would kind of expect. So that is kind of one knock, and I did just notice it on that door over there, and not really on the rest of the model. So maybe that's more of mine, an issue with mine, not like all of them. But the rear itself, as you can see, it's kind of like a split two-seater back there, and a huge kind of armrest infotainment split thing back there as well. It looks like they didn't add in the little iPad that would sit right there, which is kind of a, you know, a little bummer that they didn't put that in there. But there are like kind of seat adjustment things, which, as you can see, they look really odd. They probably didn't get those details correct on that, but that's all right. The seat pattern back there is pretty much the same as the front, but it also looks very good. And then there's two screens on each side that have like the Aplina logo on them, but nothing really else to note. But honestly, a really good looking interior. I mean, yeah, maybe they could have done a little bit more with it, but I think, you know, for what you're paying for here, which I think I paid about, I think $97 out the door for this model, which, you know, that's a really good deal. If this model is going to be anything like the M5 CS, I mean, you know, you should probably get one now, because I think these things are going to sell out. And they made, I think, 1,600 models of this particular one. So, you know, that's a pretty high amount, I think. I think GT Spirit has normally released like 1,000 model runs in the past. So 1,600 is a little bit more than they normally do. But, you know, that's okay. I think for people that are starting to get into this hobby, you know, 10 years down the road, you don't want to pay like $1,000 for this model car. So maybe a little bit more on the market would be good. But obviously, since I already have one, I just want it to go up in value. Not that I'm planning on selling it anytime soon, because I really do like this model. I think overall, though, it probably deserves a score of 7 out of 10. You know, obviously, I have a few gripes with it. I think the quality of the interior is not absolute perfection. I think they missed a little bit of the details. Like I said, the iPad in the center of the screen, those little buttons on the interior of the car don't look like what they should. And the tint on the top of the roof, I mean, why would they do that? You could have let in so much more light in the interior of this model, but I think, you know, they don't really want you looking in there too hard, because then you'll notice that they didn't really try very hard with the interior. They did a good job on the seats, but I think everything else around it is kind of very, you know, it's kind of mid-tier par. It's not great. They did an excellent job with the wheels and the color, and I think just the whole exterior of the model. They could have done a better job on the headlights themselves. So I think 7 is a very fair score for this model. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good looking one. And I mean, I don't really know what these things are going to start reselling for. But you could probably easily pick one up for about $120 if you're lucky. I don't know if, maybe I would recommend not paying more than $140 for it if you had to have it. But anything more than that at this point in time, I probably would not recommend. But besides that, I just posted a video on my Liberty Walk F40, so if you haven't checked that one out, that's also a new GT Spirit model. You gotta check it out. That thing's absolutely nuts. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in today. If you're not subscribed already, please do that, and please like the video. We got a lot more model cars coming, and I got a full tour video coming soon. So thank you guys for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.